by you because he is.
Hi, folks.
How are you? Okay, I'm done. That's it?
Yeah.
All right. Good evening and welcome everyone to our regular scheduled meeting for the month of April 2018. It is my honor to recognize Reverend McCann from the United Church of Pentecost.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening and we ask, first of all, that you bless these leaders that you've called out of our community to guide and direct us, Lord, using your wisdom in all ways, so that the city's resources are used wisely and well, that all members of our community are treated fairly, and the decisions they make promote the common good. Remove the roadblocks of ego, the fear of change, cause each one to be patient, respectful, open, and understanding of the concerns and ideas of others. Heavenly Father, may their words be words of grace. And as we pray, we ask your blessings, not just on them, but on our community's first responders, on our police, our firefighters, medical personnel, those who give of themselves to teach and mentor our children, people who work in City Hall, keeping the wheels of progress in motion, our library workers, those who work to keep our city clean, our streets safe and in good condition, as well as those who are tasked with planning for the city's future. May a hand of blessing be on each one. We pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. You all could remain standing and join me for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Y'all be seated. Madam Clerk, if you call the roll, please.
Councilor Bouchard. Here. Mayor Boulay.
Here.
Councilor Champlin.
Here.
Councilor Cohen.
Here.
Councilor Grady Sexton.
Excused.
Councilor Hirschlag.
Here.
Councilor Keach.
Here.
Councilor Kednison.
Here.
Councilor Kretovic.
Here.
Councilor Mattson.
Here.
Councilor Nyan.
Present.
Councilor St. Hilaire.
Excused.
Councilor Shurtleff.
Here.
Councilor Todd.
Here.
And Councilor Werner.
Excused. Great. Good to see you all this evening. At this time, we have the minutes before us for March 5th, 2018. These are the minutes of the City Council meeting with the CIP work session. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Seeing none, ready for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We have the minutes for March 12th, 2018, regular City Council minutes. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of March 12th. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, ready for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, now we're through the business. Now the fun stuff. It is my pleasure to introduce, I don't know who you want to have, but Chris Brown and team. You can introduce the whole folks behind us, but this is the Black Ice Hockey Association.
Come on up. You got it. Go figure. I've got a handout. Only one. Good evening.
I would think some of those guys want to come forward just so their spouses know where they are.
I hope that their family members and spouses can see them way in the back. As you said, my name is Chris Brown with the Black Ice Pond Hockey Association, and we have several shy members of our board. But I can tell you what, we could never get this done without a lot of their help and some strong backs. So I appreciate the opportunity to come before you this evening. Basically recap this year's 2018 Black Ice Pond Hockey Tournament and to present a check to the city for $20,000 for this year's event. Just a brief recap of it. Obviously, Mother Nature was not extremely kind to us this year. Our January date was delayed 2 weeks, and we went forward with a February date this year with Black Ice, and had a tremendous Thursday night with some youth activities this year that was a new part of Black Ice. Friday was great, and Saturday till about 10 o'clock, things were really good.
And then White Park Pond proceeded to turn into a swimming pool. And thank God we had a very cold end of December and early January that provided us with enough ice for no safety concerns, but the runoff from the sides created it was a little wet. And then we were able to complete the tournament at Everett Arena on Sunday. So we had 94 teams this year. As I said, we added some elements of some youth activity, and I think it was our most successful year to date. So we are pleased to give the donation of $20,000. And the handout I gave you is really a nice kind of recap of the 8 years that Black Ice has been established. That the $20,000 given to you this evening makes Black Ice donations to the City of Concord for projects, whether it's a skate house or projects towards the city is $100,000. We have gone forward in some new signage at White Park and several sprucing up activities over the 8 years at both Rollins Park and White Park is in excess of $15,000. The Everett Arena, we run the advertising there for the last, I believe, 6 years, and have given the Everett Arena $186,000 towards their bottom line to help out with ice rates and continuing to maintain their facility there. We have expanded it to other arenas to sell advertisement at other arenas in the local area. And then we've given over $23,000 to local booster clubs that really have been a lot of the strong backs that have helped us with the maintenance and shoveling during Black Ice, which is great to get those involved. Youth organizations, $5,000, and then youth hockey organizations, about $26,000. So in excess of $375,000 back to the community, and that's exactly what we started Black Ice to do. In addition to that, $30,000 to the City of Concord for permits and park overtime for the guys that keep that ice maintained and keep the facility maintained throughout the winter. They're there to help us out on Saturday and Sunday, and we do take care of them as well. So I just thought that was a good tidbit of information for your files. But again, we really appreciate the partnership and look forward to a potential winter without warm weather.
Well, first of all, thank you. Who has questions? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Just thanks.
Who's the check made out to?
It's not Mark Cohen, so it's okay. Council Chairman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't want to preempt the mayor. I just want to say on behalf of Ward 4, thank you for all your sensitivity to the neighborhood. Thank you for your responsiveness, and it's very much appreciated. It's a big event and has a potential impact on everyone around White Park, and over the years since I've been on this council, you and your team have been exemplary in your responsiveness and your concern for the neighborhood. So thank you for that.
Oh, we appreciate being good citizens to White Park. We're only a user for a few days, but we understand a lot of people enjoy it and take great pride in the park, so we appreciate it.
I would, Mr. Manager, I'd like you to consider putting this on the website, if you would. I think that this is just a great illustration of what an amazing community partners you have been. You may look in the back, and I joke with your board, but the fact is that I think every one of the folks who serve on the Black Ice Board also serve on about 3 other boards in the city, and are part of several other organizations that all either youth-oriented or something that they give back to the community tremendously. So a huge thank you to all of you who participated. I know that makes for not just a long weekend. You work on this throughout the year, and it's greatly appreciated. It gives me an opportunity at this time, though, to bring everyone's attention to the first line item, and that is with tonight's contribution, it brings it to $100,000 that you have brought forth to the city for a skate house project, which is listed in our CIP. With that project that we talked about the other night is that a proportion of the money for that project would come from the community. So it is, oftentimes people come forth to me and say, how can I help? And I'm going to welcome Jennifer Frizzell to join you up here, because Jennifer came to me and said, how do I help? And sure enough, sometimes when you volunteer, well, you better be careful because you get it come back at you. So welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you.
So it's my privilege to announce tonight the kickoff of the public portion of the fundraising effort. And you are now looking at the co-chairs of this campaign. So between Jennifer Frizzell and Chris Brown, I am full faith that we will do very well to, by the end of this year, calendar year, we'll raise the money to move forth with the skate house. So I've also invited several other members to join their co-chairs. They include Tom Champagne, our own Councilor Champlin, Kristen Van Ostrin, Laura Simoes, and Luke Bonner. They've all been agreed to volunteer their time and effort to help see this project through. And I should recognize the fact that H.L. Turner has already donated over $40,000 of free labor to put the designs together and the planning and such. So this really is quite a community effort. But with that, I would turn it over if you want to offer a few words.
Well, thank you for having me, and I would just say I'm pleased to join Chris as a member of the White Park neighborhood, as a parent who have children who have used and continue to use the park and the sheet of ice when it's there. I think this is a great opportunity for the Concord skating community and the White Park neighborhood community to do some outreach and bring some support to revitalizing and bringing back the use of that facility that many of us look at in its underutilized capacity on a regular basis. And I think that I appreciate the conversations we've had. I'm sure you've had at giving the opportunity for that facility to be used beyond a skate house, but to have multi-purpose in the neighborhood and in the community for other kinds of health and recreation events. And I hope we'll be able to together bring together a successful effort for the private side of those funds.
I really thank you for doing this and stepping up, and I am confident that we will be successful.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions before we let him go? And yes, Councilor Champlin did know he was going to be appointed to this before.
I did.
Anyways, well, thank you again. Great to see you. Okay, with that, it takes us to our consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda? Approval? Second. Motion to approve the consent agenda, and I should announce that items 11 and 18 have been pulled from the agenda. I would also note that, help me, Jennifer.
It's the one with the crisis center, the letter.
The number. Item 25. So Councilor Kretovic and myself will not be voting on item 25. We'll be recusing ourselves. So with that, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Motion's adopted. Takes us to Mr. Manager.
Your Honor, members of the council, it's my pleasure to introduce, if you would mind coming forward, Stephanie Phillips. Stephanie is you've asked for the city hire a public information officer. I think you've been asking for about 3 years for us to be able to put together a plan and the financing to do this, and Stephanie is your new public information officer for the entire city, and today is her first day. So
Welcome. Yeah.
So and Stephanie is a graduate of Northeastern University with a master's degree in organizational communications and public relations, and she comes to us most recently as Director of Communications for New Hampshire and Vermont for the American Heart Association and the American Stroke Association. Very well versed. We had several hundred, how many candidates altogether, Carlos? 300 or something candidates. Stephanie did spectacular in our review of her, and she's moved into her new office today. She's up on the 3rd floor in the corner. It's all we had left, but it works out pretty well. So she'll be at a lot of meetings and council meetings and as part of budget, and coming up with the State of the City address that the mayor is doing this Thursday. She'll be there. She was helping me today work on that portion, and kept from laughing pretty well. She just said, "I'll help you a lot next year." So I said, "Okay." And
we're gonna slow jam it this year. Is that okay?
So we're really lucky to have her. And is there anything you'd like to say to the?
Just that I'm really, really excited. Looking forward to working with all of you and all of the city departments, and just kind of elevating the level of stories that we have to tell here, and kind of bringing awareness, a little bit more awareness to the city. Just the example we just heard, I think illustrates that. There's a lot going on here, and I love Concord, so I'm just happy to be here.
She has lived in and worked on Warren Street for a number of years, so she's very familiar with the downtown and the entire city.
Good. Yeah, well, welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Happy to be here.
And how many tweets did you put out today?
I've not put out any yet because I'm not connected to the city account at the moment, but we're working on it. So
Working with Susie.
yeah.
So that's the thing. Blame IT.
But I promise we're working on it. So I'll be out there soon.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Thank you.
Since we're doing intros, it's my turn to embarrass somebody. So Ashlyn Fogg is a student getting her master's degree. She's a nurse, and part of her class assignment is to attend a public city, state, governmental meeting. So she is with us here tonight. Say hi. There you go. Welcome. There you go. If we were really mean, we would turn the camera back there at you so everybody could see you. But that's it. All right, that takes us to our public hearings. Madam Clerk, item 27A, please.
It's a resolution authorizing the annual appraisal of real estate at market value per RSA 75-8-B.
So this is a continuation of the public hearing from last time. Mr. Manager.
Nothing to add. It's really just to see if there's anybody from the community who would like to provide any information, and then you would vote on this actually at your next meeting.
Great. So with that, is there anyone wishing to testify? Seeing none, so we are going to close the public hearing and we'll take action. And everybody clear with that? Okay. And the hearing is closed. Madam Clerk, item 27B, please.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title IV Zoning Code, Chapter 28 Zoning Ordinance, Article 28-2, Zoning Districts and Allowable Uses, Section 28-2-3, the zoning map.
Mr. Manager.
Council. Heather Shank is here as the city planner to answer any questions that you may have regarding this item. You have a full report from Heather, and which is an 8-page report, so we will not go over that. You also have a recommendation from the planning board regarding this item. You have a letter from the city traffic engineer, Rob Mack, related to traffic planning, and you have a request that originally came in, and a lot of information that has also come in regarding this, so I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Who has questions? Seeing none, excellent. Well done. Actually, you know what, just to be clear, it's not that we don't have questions, but I will say that that report was excellent.
Thank you.
Explained everything thoroughly, very well done. So any questions I would have had, you really have already answered them, so.
Great.
Thank you. So with that, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wish to testify on this item? Yeah.
All right. Looks good.
Oh, that mouse doesn't work, okay.
So, good evening and welcome. If you wouldn't mind just simply introducing yourselves, and away you go.
Hi, good evening. For the record, my name is Laurie Rossio, and I'm here tonight with my husband David.
Good evening.
Together, we represent Interchange Development LLC with regards to the rezoning request before you. That's right. I just have a very brief presentation. This will be less than 5 minutes. In November of last year, the City Council voted to lift covenants on a 10-acre parcel at the corner of Route 4 and Whitney Road. It's outlined on that slide there. In order to have enough room for a medium-sized supermarket and complementary retail uses, we requested consideration of expanding the urban commercial zone at the corner from approximately 10 acres to 14.5 acres. The entire parcel is 42 acres and is mostly zoned industrial at the time. At the recommendation of the Planning Board, the Council did not vote to rezone any additional land until we had returned with the master plan for the site generated with participation and input from the community. We moved forward with that recommendation by holding a charrette on December 2nd. The meeting included a full site walk, planning exercises led by a consultant from TF Moran, and the meeting was taped and available on Concord TV. The primary output of the meeting were plans developed by the participants for the 42-acre site. And after the meeting, we prepared a report which included the history of the site, the neighborhood, a zoning analysis, tax impact analysis, and a complete summary of the meeting and plans that were developed. And you all have a copy of the reports in your packet. Based on the public input and all the analysis contained in the report, the rezoning request was revised to a gateway performance district approximately 28.5 acres, with the remaining 13.5 acres to remain as industrial. In both areas, there are portions that are undevelopable due to steep slopes. The usable area of the gateway zone ends up being about 24.9 acres, and the industrial zone is 7.5 acres usable. The proposed gateway zone follows the property bounds that are most visible to the high traffic volumes on the I-93 ramp, Route 4, and then as well as Whitney Road. The industrial zone is kept towards the back of the site, adjacent to the Wheelabrator facility. With full development, a plan such as this one shown could generate around $39 million in tax assessments, property tax assessments, representing a 10% increase to the Pennacook tax base. This concept plan presented was not meant to be considered a site plan nor a comprehensive development plan, which is required in the Gateway Performance District. There are many more steps we need to take before we can develop a detailed site plan, and most notably, we need to secure end users such as a supermarket. As mentioned, the concept plan submitted was just a concept, and after noting the concerns from the planning staff over the layout shown in the concept plan, we asked TF Moran to work on a new layout as shown here. This is a plan showing some of the smaller buildings closer to a central road to allow for improved walkability. Once the rezoning is completed, we're looking forward to working with the city staff to develop the plan even further. The primary goal of the rezoning effort is to attract a supermarket to the location, along with other high-quality mixed uses, which will help the tax base of Pennacook while bringing services and employment to the area. We appreciate your consideration of this request and are glad to answer any questions you have at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who has questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well done. I appreciate the effort you put in the report. With that, is there anyone else wishing to testify? There's a friendly face.
Oh, hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. You look great.
Thank you.
Retirement's
Life
doing
is
you
good,
well.
Yes. I know almost everybody. For those who do not know me, my name is Eric Crane. I come to you tonight as a citizen of Pennacook. I've lived in Ward 2. I've been there for 18 years. What I've found in my time working for the city and doing other things and volunteering my time, lots of people have interests in things, and to get people to show up and voice their opinion is another thing. I think it's interesting, if you look at Facebook, this supermarket at Exit 17 group has 1,497 followers. I know only 20 people showed up to the charrette, but there is a huge movement up there to get something like this that we could utilize. I'm just going to sort of reiterate what I said at the planning board meeting, and for those of you who maybe watched it, I apologize. I certainly want to thank the city for all the new things that are around, and Councillor Champlin reminded me that, yes, lots of things have gone on in Pennacook, and I thank you for that, too. But we need some retail up there. We need some new building. It is 6.9 miles for me to get to Hannaford's from my house. It takes me about 25 minutes if I go down Fisherville Road. If I say never mind and I get on the highway at 17, it still takes me 25 minutes to get to Hannaford's. And then it is a zoo. Parking is difficult. It's always very crowded. I and a lot of my neighbors and friends would love to have a shopping center to include a grocery store at the Whitney Road site. It would benefit Pennacook, Boscawen, East Concord, and towns even further up Route 4. In the afternoon, especially in the summertime, it is bumper to bumper from the new traffic circle all the way to Exit 17. There's a lot of traffic that goes through there. I would like to see the tax base in Pennacook expanded. My taxes went up a lot. I go and I see the ladies at the office every quarter, and I pay my taxes, and it was noticeable this time that it went up a lot. And I know it's because it's more on the people who live in houses and less on industry that's up there helping us out. And lastly, I'd really like to see the city work with these developers to make something like this happen. I see it in many other places in this city, and I'd really like to see it up in Pennacook to help. There's a lot of residential coming, a lot of new building and developments. Be nice to have places to shop. That's it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Seeing none. Great to see you again.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to testify? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, item 27C, please.
A resolution appropriating the sum of $30,000 for improvements to the State Street Parking Garage, CIP 432, and authorizing the issuance of bonds and notes in the amount of up to $30,000.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manager.
Members of the council, the State Street Garage, formerly known as the Firehouse Block Garage, was constructed in 1979. It contains 233 parking spaces and underwent repairs. The last time we did repairs was 2006. We recommend that a full structural evaluation of the garage be undertaken this summer, followed by major repair and renovation projects over the next 2 years. The recommendation does not come as a surprise, as we have programmed money in the 2023 budget and the capital budget, which you're aware of and you have voted on in previous years. And we'd recommend that you move forward with this so that we're ready to undertake the repairs as necessary, so we don't have to interrupt as little as possible future parking in the garage.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for the manager? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wish to testify? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, item 27D, please.
A resolution authorizing and appropriating the sum of $5,000 in the parking fund as a transfer to capital, and authorizing the appropriating said funds in the parking capital fund to reprogram parking meters and kiosks in accordance with implementation of the parking strategic plan, CIP number 577.
Would anybody be opposed if we did 27E as well at the same time?
No. Good.
Madam Clerk?
A resolution appropriating the sum of $30,000 for signage and other improvements for the implementation of the parking strategic plan, CIP 577, and authorizing the issuance of bonds and notes in the amount of up to $30,000.
Thank you very much. Mr. Manager.
Members of the council, the implementation, as referred to City Clerk, will take place on July 1st. In order for us to undertake this implementation, we need to reprogram 375 mechanical meters and 85 kiosk pay stations, update all the downtown parking garage signage, including on-street garages and service lots for new rates, hours enforcement, meter time zone limits, and as applicable. So under both of these pieces that you're talking about now, reprogramming of the parking meters and the kiosks would be $5,000 paid for by the parking capital transfer, so cash. On-street signage updates, Store Street parking garage signage updates, and State Street parking garage signage updates and permit program implementations would all be $10,000 each. For $30,000, you put those together and you have the $35,000 together. I could go into the specifics of the recommendations for the time zones and the numbers, but they're all in your report, and I don't see any need to cover those pieces. Glad to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for the manager? Seeing none, open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to testify on these two items? Either one? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, item 27F, please.
Is a resolution repurposing the sum of $10,253.12 from the handgun replacement project CIP 555 to the communication system upgrade project CIP number 368.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Members of the council, these are dollars that are left over in that program and are needed for the dispatch center and the work at the police department, and I recommend approval.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to testify? Close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, item 27G, please.
It's an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title I, General Code, Chapter 1, Government Organization, Article 1-5, Fees, Fines, and Penalties, together with non-ordinance fees.
Mr. Manager.
Members of the council, each year we bring forward any recommended changes to specific ordinance-related fees. And at the same time, we bring forward the non-ordinance-based fees that don't require public hearing, but just so everybody has an opportunity to see what those changes are. Many of the changes you see are related to specifics in the fire department and related to how they've actually changed their fee structures. And there's a number of fee systems that you noticed that are fees that have been eliminated. But you'll notice that even the changes that have increased by, say, 4 or 5%, most of those fees have not changed since 2010 or 2011. So instead of doing them on an annual basis, we've only been doing them on every 7 or 8 years. So that's why the numbers are greater than 1 or 2%. I'd be glad to answer any questions on any specifics, and the staff is here to answer any questions on any of the specifics within their departments.
Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wish to testify? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, next item.
It's an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title IV Zoning Code, Chapter 28 Zoning Ordinance, Article 28-2, Zoning Districts and Allowable Uses, Article 28-5, Supplemental Standards in the Glossary, and there was a revised ordinance submitted to you this evening.
Mr. Manager.
Members of the council, I'd like to ask Beth Festenmacher, Craig Walker to come forward so Beth is, as you know, with the Planning Division, Craig is with the Code Division, to talk about the specifics of this proposal.
Good evening, welcome.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. So the purpose of this ordinance is to address the issue of agritourism. Excuse me, the state updated the RSAs to expand the definition of agriculture to include agritourism. However, agritourism is not well defined. The RSAs do give municipalities the ability to regulate certain activities that are often associated with agricultural uses. So we've decided to address that by expanding uses in the RM and the RO districts where agriculture is permitted by right, to expand uses such as weddings, concerts, overnight stays that may be defined as bed and breakfasts. And we did this under expanding the outdoor recreation facility definition and expanding the bed and breakfast uses so that it's not directly related to agriculture. And we did this to allow these expansion of economic development in the rural areas of Concord. So if you currently don't have an agricultural operation, but you do have, say, a 20-acre farm property, you can still take advantage of expanding this enterprise onto your properties. But it's important to note that we don't want to impact existing agricultural marketing practices such as hay rides, apple picking, anything that's typically associated with some of the farms that we know around town. And so that is not included in this ordinance change. That will not change at all. Those still will not be regulated. But they will be, if they had an event that, say, they had music playing at an apple festival, that would just be an annual entertainment permit that would go through the code office. So that wouldn't go through the planning board. So by updating the ordinance, we are doing the process through the conditional use process, which will go to the planning board. And that gives the opportunity for the planning board to determine if it's an appropriate use for the location, and also gives the neighbors and the public opportunity for public input. And if planning board wants to implement any restrictions on the use, or ask for additional studies like traffic studies or expanded parking, so that they can address any of these larger uses that the rural areas are not accustomed to right now. And then the update that came out today, it was a small oversight. We were looking at these uses as secondary principal uses, and so we only updated the principal use table. However, we overlooked that right now outdoor recreational facilities are permitted by right in every district in the city. So we broadened the outdoor recreational facilities definition, but we didn't want to impact the intent of it being accessory use. So we redefined within the accessory uses outdoor athletic facilities, which was the original definition. So if you have any questions about that, I'll leave it at that, and you can ask any questions that you have.
Explain this.
And I might just add a couple of points here. Part of the reason that we're addressing these as separate principal uses is because one of the biggest problems that has occurred throughout the state is what is an accessory use to a farm. And the situation out in Henniker is a perfect example. He ran these wedding activities for many years and ran it as part of his farming operation, or that's the way he considered it. But it was not until he was challenged by a neighbor and a butter that all these problems came up. So what we're trying to do is clearly define that these are permitted activities in the RO, in the RM district. And once you have your approvals, all the abutters have had their opportunity to review and speak to it, you're covered. You're not going to run something for a few years and have somebody come in and challenge it as not being a permitted use. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to expand. We're not trying to interfere at all with the existing activities. We don't want to regulate apple picking, hay rides, any of that stuff. What we're doing is trying to have a path for people to be permitted to expand their uses on their property.
Thank you. Excellent explanation. Anybody have any questions? Councilor Slay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Walker, thank you. One of the questions I have is it clear between code and the planning board when somebody just comes to get a permit from you and when somebody has to appear before the planning board for a conditional use permit? Is that line clear, or is there a blurring of that line at some point?
I think the line is fairly clear in that, again, agriculture activities that have been going on for years, and I think we're all pretty knowledgeable of what those are. Carter Hill Farm's been doing them, Apple Hill Farm's been doing things for years. But if you're coming in with, let's say, you want to open up an event facility for weddings or something that's not, and this is an argument or an arguable point, that has not traditionally been part of an agriculture, it's not dependent on a farming activity, then that's going to be something new. But for years, all these other activities have been going on. We have no intention of requiring permits for those. We never have. If somebody is having entertainment, in addition to their apple picking weekend or something of that nature, yes, the health department has traditionally issued an entertainment permit, and that can be obtained on an annual basis or per activity. But again, even in those situations, they aren't charging a separate fee for admission for something like that. That's something that's generally, accompanying another activity. we're focusing on things that somebody's going to be charging a fee for, they're going to be renting their property, they're going to be selling tickets, something of that nature.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then, is there any anticipation that there'll be more cases coming to the zoning board, the ZBA, because of this? People appealing it, or would it just stop at the planning board? So I guess the concern is are we going to create more exceptions that would have to go before the zoning board while we're at the same time looking to relieve the zoning board of some of their cases?
There shouldn't be any additional cases coming to the zoning board as long as the proposals are within the guidelines, well, the ordinance criteria. Certainly, if somebody needs a variance from a buffer zone or a setback, or they want to build a new building or something related to that, yes, those types of things would have to come to the zoning board. But no, there's no intent or expectation of additional zoning board action in these cases.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Really appreciate your time and explanation. This time, we'll open up a public hearing. Anyone wish to testify on this item? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, item 27I, please.
It's an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title V Administrative Code, Chapter 30 Administrative Code, Article 30-3 Boards and Commissions, the Parking Committee.
Mr. Manager.
As a member of the council, the proposal is for the parking committee to be repealed, and there's an ad hoc committee would be reappointed every 2 years as part of city council's customary committee appointment process following each city council election. Should vacancies occur, they would be appointed by the mayor or any successor mayor on an as-needed basis. So the work would still get done. It would just be done by a different committee than the existing parking committee. Glad to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wish to testify? Seeing none, we'll close the public testimony. And Madam Clerk, the last one, item 27J, please.
Is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title V Administrative Code, Chapter 30 Administrative Code, Article 30-3 Boards and Commissions for the Municipal Housing Commission.
Mr. Manager.
I'll just read the entire report. In accordance with the City Council's March 5, 2018 decision to repeal Ordinance 30-3-27 Municipal Housing Commission, please find the attached ordinance as repealed. That's from City Solicitor Jim Kennedy.
Any questions? Seeing none, Council Bouchard.
Yeah, I have a question. So we get rid of the ordinance and all, but where in the city do we have that we still look to have to encourage development that's diverse and affordable for everyone? I mean, it was one of the purposes of this group, and as the city is growing with more housing.
So what?
I'd hate to lose that.
Yeah. So in reality, this is one of the major things that we'll be looking at as part of the form-based code changes that come on, and actually the responsibility of the planning board. They do as part of the master plan, as you know, there's a housing section. So the idea would be, it would not only be with city staff and city planning office as part of the overall community development department, but also with the planning board, making sure the ordinances and regulations are in place to accomplish just exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah, my concern is that we would, that we don't lose sight in a week in that, where...
I agree.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Schleyer.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was appointed to that commission 2 years ago. We never met. The last set of minutes are from April 24th, 2013.
Anyone else? Questions? Seeing none. We'll open the public hearing on this item. Is there anybody wishing to testify? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, takes us to item 28, please.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title IV Zoning Code, Chapter 28 Zoning Ordinance, Article 28-2, Zoning Districts and Allowable Uses, Section 28-2-3, the zoning map.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second. Motion made second to approve this item. Is there any discussion? Anyone? Councilor Crederick?
I'm just going to recuse myself
Okay,
for a conflict.
thank you. So noted. I just would point out a couple things. Obviously, I support this, like I suspect everyone else would, hopefully. But I guess I would also, as we move forward, I would encourage the developer to develop a master plan, a development plan that is, and work closely with the city planning department. I would also note this project has some significant challenges with Whitney Road and Hoyt Road. The intersection, as you all know, that's a state road, and it's not in the state's 10-year highway plan right now. So I would, encourage everyone to talk to their state representatives and senators or senator to encourage them, to, as well as the governing council members, to get that in the 10-year highway plan. And then I think lastly, I would also point out that, this property is very close to Exit 17, and I would hope that we would make sure we're reaching out to our federal delegation in case we need any federal input, because it's so close to an interchange like that. So I just want to flag those items. It's meant to be a positive thing, not a negative thing, but I'll flag those so that we keep working on them and keep plugging away as we try to, as we heard tonight, how important it is to expand the tax base in Pennacook. Councilor Schiller.
Just a question of the chair, and could those comments be included in the motion of approval so that we have a record of that for future councils?
I guess I would.
Or at least we may keep that as part of our own permanent journal.
I think the clerk will take excellent notes like she always does, but as I said, they're not, I'm for this, I'm supportive, but I just want to make sure we're kind of put on the record to make sure we continue to work with all the different levels of government we need to make it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, ready for the question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the ayes have it. Madam Clerk, item 29, please.
It's a resolution appropriating the sum of $30,000 for improvements to the State Street Parking Garage, CIP 432, and authorizing the issue of bonds and notes in the amount of up to $30,000.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion?
Move approval. Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve this item. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, ready for the question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Having received the necessary two-thirds, the motion is adopted. Item 30, please.
A resolution authorizing and appropriating the sum of $5,000 in the parking fund as a transfer to capital, and authorizing and appropriating said funds in the parking capital fund to reprogram parking meters and kiosks in accordance with implementation of the Parking Strategic Plan, CIP 577.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve this item. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, ready for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
And the ayes have it. Having received the necessary two-thirds, the motion is adopted. Item 31, please.
A resolution appropriating the sum of $30,000 for signage and other improvements for the implementation of the Parking Strategic Plan, CIP number 577.
Is there
approval.
second? Motion made and seconded to approve this item. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, ready for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
The ayes have it. Having received the necessary two-thirds, the motion is approved. Item 32, please.
A resolution repurposing the sum of $10,253.12 from the handgun replacement project, CIP 555, to the communication system upgrade project, CIP 368.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Motion made, approved, and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Having received necessary two-thirds, motion is adopted. Item 33, please.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title I, General Code, Chapter 1, Government Organization, Article 1-5, Fees, Fines, and Penalties, together with non-ordinance fees.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded to approve this item. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, ready for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the ayes have it. Madam Clerk, item 34.
Yes, it's an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title 4, Zoning Code, Chapter 28, Zoning Ordinance, Article 28-2, Zoning Districts and Allowable Uses, Article 28-5, Supplemental Standards in the Glossary, and there is a revised ordinance before you.
Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
So the motion's made on the revised ordinance. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And the second is for the revised ordinance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. With that, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and the ayes have it. Madam Clerk, item 35, please.
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title V Administrative Code, Chapter 30 Administrative Code, Article 30-3 Boards and Commissions, the Parking Committee.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Motion made and seconded to approve this item. Is there discussion? Ready for the Councilor Slade?
Thank you, Your Honor. I understand the reason to try to streamline this or to change the composition of it, but having attended many of the parking committee meetings for the downtown, for the recent change in structure for the downtown and for our meters and our parking, I felt that it would be helpful to have some permanent members on that committee from the community. I understand the arguments or the concerns on the other side that sometimes we're only catering to special interests, but I also would rather err on the side of having additional public comment. So for that reason, I won't be supporting this ordinance. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Cohen.
I appreciate Councilor Hirschlag's comments. I found, I must say, I have been serving on the parking committee, and one of the things that I've witnessed all the years I've been on it, that we made a tremendous effort to get out and get public comment from stakeholders in the community, residents, and everyone. That we've been more proactive of getting input from the citizens, and so that's why I'm supportive of this. I don't think it's going to change. In fact, it's a better operations.
Anyone else? Councilor Todd.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just also would add to that a reminder to folks that all of these committee meetings are open to the public. And so anyone that is interested in a parking issue, Transportation Policy Advisory Committee, they're all open. The meetings are all posted on the city's website. And so that won't change, even though this parking committee will change. Those are still public meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I would just simply add, if you believe in transparency, if you believe in open government, if you believe in getting the most input from the public, then you would support this change. I was very proud of the I didn't agree with all the decisions of the parking committee, and they were well aware of my objections to a few things, and I lost. But I was very satisfied and happy with the process by which the parking committee took on its recent responsibilities. Not only did they go out and seek input from various members of the community, but if you look at what's going on right now with private streets, excuse me, I apologize, not private streets, narrow streets, the committee has broken the city wards 6, 5, and 4 up into 4 different quadrants, and they actually are going to go out and seek input indirectly in those neighborhoods to talk about what the impact is during the winter months when you see the snowbanks, what it is with the summertime. This is exactly how government's supposed to work in my mind. Going out, soliciting directly from the people, because we are government at the level that is most closest to the people. This is the way we function. This is the way we operate in this city, and I'm very proud of this. And I think by revising this so that we are not limited to simply downtown, so we're simply not limited to just the way it used to be in the past, that we actually broaden the way we think about parking, and that we put people on this who are accountable to the taxpayers of this city, the voters of this city. Every 2 years, we put our names on the ballot, except for the 2 members at large, who every 4 years. But we are held accountable every 2 years, and if the citizens don't approve what we want, what we're doing, then they get rid of us, and they should. But when we appoint people like this who are from various organizations who have a very narrow view at times, who are very well intended, and I commend and applaud their efforts to participate. But I think what parking today is so much different than it used to be. 10 years ago, when I sat in here in this chair, and we took on it was Councilor Bennett overnight parking, and we made it available for everyone in the city. It was a positive thing, but it came with consequences, and we're dealing with those consequences today. So the fact that we're reaching out to the neighborhoods, the fact that we're soliciting input, I am really happy and satisfied with the way we're functioning. I congratulate everybody who's participated in the past. So with that, I would encourage you strongly to support this and support open government. Anyone else? Seeing none, we have a motion pending before us. Ready for the question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
And the ayes have it. Madam Clerk, item 36, please.
It's an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Title V Administrative Code, Chapter 30 Administrative Code, Article 30-3, Boards and Commissions, Municipal Housing Commission.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve this item. Is there any discussion? I would just simply like to address Councilor Bouchard's question. I thought it was an excellent question, and I think it's important to recognize that this council it does support all different types of housing. It's important that we have many different housing stock within the city, from workforce to beginners, starter homes, to manufactured housing, all the way to some of the new developments you see downtown. So I don't think that by eliminating this, we are taking our eye off the prize with this. But I do think that having spoken to several of the members who had been appointed previously to this commission, that it was time had come and gone. So with that, I'll be supporting this. Anyone else? Seeing none, ready for the question, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the ayes have it. That takes us to comments or requests. Anybody have anything they'd like to share? Councilor Todd.
Thank you, Your Honor. Pleased to announce that the Pennacook Village Association is going to hold its annual meeting on Tuesday, May 8th at the Rolfe House, which is 11 Pennacook Street in Pennacook, starting at 6 p.m. Refreshments are going to be served. That includes pizza and soda. And the special guest speaker is going to be our own Concord Library Director, Todd Fabian, who is going to provide a presentation and discussion on the future of the Pennacook Branch Library. So I hope to see you all there. That's Tuesday, May 8th, Rolfe House at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Credit and Councilor Champion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to mention that Beaver Meadow Golf Course is open, and there were some really diehard people that on Thursday they went out in the snow. It was great to see the flags, great to see the tees, and great to see the people pushing their cart in the snow. I enjoyed my first round yesterday. There's only a couple of little patches out there. We've got a number of huge improvements to the course. We've rebuilt several of the, I'm never in them. What are they, sand, what do they call?
The golfer.
And
I think Councilor Credit is in denial.
No, we're never in them. And we have a couple of new tee boxes also on the 10th hole and the 13th. And yesterday, seeing where the 10th is, that par 5 now becomes birdie potential for me. Thanks. Appreciate it. Come play the beeve.
Councilor Champlin.
I think what I have to say is
Top
going to
that.
pale. Well, we're having the ever-exciting constituent listening session in Ward 4, which is kindly being hosted by Kimball Jenkins Estate in the Carriage House on Tuesday, May 1st. We're hoping that we will have some information available about the prospective landscaping plans for the courthouse. So it's an opportunity for folks to provide their input and to learn about what's happening in that regard, and also any other issues that constituents want to raise. And on May 12th, this is just a reminder that the Friends of White Park are having their annual White Park Cleanup Day from 9 to 1 p.m., and it's always advisable to show up with your own implements. Bring your rakes, your spades, your grass rakes, your garden rakes, and if you like to plant flowers, bring a trowel. That's it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Mr. Manager, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll just simply add that I did watch the Masters this weekend. I think I saw Councilor Cohen there.
Again, I made the putt.
That takes us to items that have been removed from the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, item 11, please.
It's a resolution adopting a goal of 100% renewable energy for the city of Concord. It's set on the agenda to be public hearing held in May, and it was pulled from consent by Councilor Cohen.
Thank you very much. Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, Your Honor. The reason I requested this to be pulled is that in my 50 years I've lived in Concord, I think this is one of the most challenging and dynamic process we're going to be in. And part of this thing is that we want to be at the city of Concord to achieve a citywide transition to 100% renewable energy by 2030. And I was thinking 2030 is way off. it's 12 years from now. It's just 12 years.
2050.
2030.
50.
Well, it's 20, 30, 50.
All right, you're
What's 30 years between people? No, that's 2050 for the thermal energy.
You're right.
All right.
You're right.
Challenge me like that. I'm trying to make this short. Yeah.
32.
Yeah. What I have on that? No. You didn't have a 30. But the importance of this is to achieve this in 12 years, that part of it, means that we have to look at every phase of city government, including zoning, economic development, building construction, planning. It encompasses everything that this city does and everything that we do here in the council and the citizens, because it's also including, by 2030, have every citizen in Concord into 100% renewable energy. To me, this is an incredible task. It can be done, but we got 12 years to do it. So that's why the reason I brought this out is that we're having a public hearing next month on this issue, and it's the most important thing I've seen in 50 years here, and not to be taken lightly. It's going to be a lot of work and a lot of effort by everybody, and so it's we've kind of touched upon it, I think, in the last few weeks about solar farms, if we want to call that, and the zoning issue with solar farms. We've come up with zoning issues in the last few years about solar panels in residential neighborhoods and everything else. So it touches everything, and I mean it's bigger than I feel than the Main Street project. And if we're going to do this in 12 years, there's a tremendous amount of effort that's going to be taken by all of us to accomplish that. So I really strongly advise citizens to come in next month for this hearing and hear what the proposals are, and for the councilors to take a real serious look at this and what it really means, what we're committing to as a city, as a council, and as a city going forward. By saying that, then my recommendation is that we move forward with this and have it for a public hearing next month.
Second.
Council Collin moves that we have this set down for public hearing for next month, seconded by Councilor Sherliff. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Motion's adopted. Madam Clerk, item 18, please.
It's a report from the Transportation Policy Advisory Committee regarding New Hampshire Department of Transportation's preferred alternative, for the I-93 Bow-Concord widening project. And it was pulled from consent by Councilor Todd.
Councilor Todd.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to start off by commending our city engineer, Rob Mack, for pulling together, composing an excellent report. I think that it is pretty clear in what it states, and was done for the benefit of the council. And also just want to give credit to the members of TPAC, Transportation Policy Advisory Committee, who spent several meetings, including one very late-night extended session to draft the report content. And again, although I sit on that as counselor, it is primarily made up of volunteers, folks from the community. So I commend them for their efforts and volunteerism. And TPAC had a visit from a DOT representative in December of 2016 at the regular meeting, and several suggestions were presented and concerns and so forth. And DOT's plans, I just want to make folks aware, are, as scoped out by architect McFarland Johnson, are available online at i93bowconcord.com for anyone that wants to see the latest developments in that. The second chart that's in the report analyzes the Opportunity Corridor Master Plan as evaluated by the DOT, and shows the comparison to the DOT's current preferred alternative. So the intent here was that TPAC realizes that the project is probably last on the state's funding list and maybe a decade or more off, who knows, as to commencing construction, but they felt obligated to pass this information on to council as soon as possible. And they wanted to state that they can provide more details and information as council might request. So with that, I recommend accepting their report.
Second. Thank you very much. Motion been made, second to approve, to accept this report. Is there any further discussion? See none, ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the ayes have it. It takes us to the end of our agenda. We have one item we need to clear up. Could I get a motion to go into non-public session in accordance with RSA 91A 32A?
So moved. Second.
Motion made, seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great week.